Do the pledge. Please stand for the pledge.
Wait. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Did you just do the flag salute?
We did.
We did, Laura.
Wonderful. And we call the meeting to order in executive, correct?
Yes. Yep, Laura, that's correct. We're up to the
Okay,
we're up to special presentations.
Wonderful. So we have a budget presentation tonight by our business administrator and our assistant superintendent. I'm going to hand it over to them.
Moment. Sharing my screen. Welcome everyone to our annual 2021-22 budget presentation. We base our budget every year on our strategic plan and the goals that we set out for the year. So a few years ago when we met, we came up with our main goals and we tried to structure our budget and all of the things that we do within that strategic plan. Our goals for this year were to increase the achievement for all students who are not meeting grade level benchmarks and to create and execute a plan for this school year in all aspects of online hybrid or in-person educational program due to the COVID crisis. Some things that we have accomplished this year: we did open the Riverview Annex. If you've had a chance to see that building, it's been completely renovated inside, and our Riverview students in grades 4 and 5 are currently housed in that building. Completely a renovation of our Valley View athletic fields. They look amazing. It's fun to see the progress. And I'd like to thank Mr. Cass for all his hard work on this project. Just a shot at what our classrooms are looking like these days. As you can see, we have purchased many barriers around the buildings to provide extra protection. All of our desks and seats are 6 feet apart. Everyone's wearing their masks. There are sanitation stations throughout the school. You just get an idea of what the classrooms are looking at in 2021 as opposed to last year. Riverview School was given the National Blue Ribbon School Award. We're very involved in helping families this year. There's a higher need than normal, so we did participate with our social services groups, with the Navigating Hope program. We did a coat drive, a food drive. We delivered our lunches and food to families, provided interpretation services, and also connections with health services. In collaboration with St. Clair's, we were able to deliver 150 vaccinations to our staff, or vaccinations for 150 of our staff members. Here's how our budget is broken down.
Hello again. The purpose of this budget presentation is for the review of the final 21-22 school year budget and for the board approval. As you can see from this breakdown, at least 90% of this budget goes towards salary and health benefits, and other staff benefits actually, not just health. And about 10% of the budget is for discretionary items. Next, please. On the discretionary items, as you can see, 10%, about 7% of that is all capital projects where the funds are withdrawn from capital and maintenance reserved. And about 3% are allocated towards textbooks, supplies, professional development, technology services. It's a very small percentage of the budget that is allocated towards discretionary items. And now we have our revenues. Our revenues is derived from about 85% from local property tax. About 5% comes from state aid, and about 1% comes from federal and state grants. And the remaining 21-22 revenue comes from, again, capital and maintenance reserve, about 8% of the 21-22 revenues for this coming year. This is our budget break categories. As you can see, again, most of these expenditures are fixed costs, with the exception of capital projects and the 3% of discretionary items. This budget
for next year, we're looking at purchasing more Chromebooks. Some of the things we've done is Zoom, the Google Enterprise. We have new smart boards coming in. We had to replace some intercom systems, as well as desktop office and labs, wireless and access points, equipment replacement, repairs, anything that comes up in technology.
Our budget also includes funding for technology enhancements. We continue the shared service agreement with the Township of Denville and the Police Department for the to hire 4 Class 3 officers, not just for the regular school year, but to an extension to the extended school year over the summertime. Our budget also includes funds for buildings and grounds and transportation. Among several projects that are on the horizon, the Lakeview roof will be replaced. The Riverview HVAC will also be replaced this coming summer. We will be doing a demographic study, and we will continue with the interior door replacements and repairs, among other items and projects coming up this coming summer. Also in curriculum, and Dr. Cullis can back me up, we have devoted and put aside funding for new teachers, one at Lakeview, one at Riverview for this coming year. We will also have funding to hire a new gifted and talented personnel district-wide and other support staff, as well as we continue to share agreement with St. Clair for the mental and health services.
Yes. We do a comparison of our tax group. We look at the grouping that's a similar size, similar number of students, similar socioeconomic characteristics. And when we look at those communities, we are still coming out at about 10th for the overall amount of money that we're spending per student. And we do not have recent test scores, because our last time that we took them was two testing seasons ago, and so we do not have the performance comparison. But 2 years ago, when we did that comparison, we looked at the amount of money that we were spending per student compared to our performance, and we actually were performing in the top, whereas how much we were actually spending was at the lower end of our grouping.
And to mention something else about this chart, it's also worth noting that these 12 districts are within the same category, K through 8 district, with about the same amount of students, between 1,000 and 3,000 students within the same criteria. And again, pointing out, Denville rated number 10 from highest to lowest, with one of the most lowest per pupil cost, and yet we continue to perform very similar to other more affluent districts.
And higher in many categories.
The budget breakdown, again, this is a comparison from the current budget 2021 with the next year proposed budget 2022. As you can see, a lot of at least 8% of the revenue comes from capital and maintenance reserves. Next, please. The tax impact. This budget represents an increase to the local taxpayer of 0.151%. At this time, we will definitely like to thank the board for the true effort in keeping this tax impact to the taxpayer as low as possible as we can. They really made a true effort to make sure that the impact was minimum, and especially with these critical times. And again, the tax increase is 0.1% to the Denville K-8 district, not overall. This is the K-8 school district. And again, we want to congratulate and thank the board, the finance committee, for their true effort in keeping this budget and the tax impact as low as possible. The cost driver, we like to put some of the costs that drive this budget. Some of them, especially salary increases, general insurance liabilities, health benefits, special education, transportation costs, among other contracted services that we have throughout the district during the school year.
A few things to note. It's a few things to note. Just highlights that the district was providing Chromebooks for all students. So this is not just our middle school initiative. We have really extended that to all students. So those that are virtual, those that are in person have been taking Chromebooks back and forth with them. The district provides in-home Wi-Fi for 25 families in need and support for Denville Township. The Lakeview roof project scheduled for summer of 2021, it's 60,000 square foot of roofing will be replaced. This represents the last of the roof replacements for the next decade. The budget represents a tax levy increase of 0.51%. This budget continues the behavioral service program with St. Clair's. It continues to fund lunches for approximately 80 economically disadvantaged students. The funds in this budget will be used to run a summer academic program for students. So we are running our regular ESY program as well as a Denville Accelerated Learning Academy for about 300 students. Our five-year strategic plan will be finished in June of 2022, next year. So we're planning to create a new 5-year plan. And as of 2018, the district was underfunded by approximately $1,364,865 under the S2 school funding formula. As of July 1st, 2021, the district is still underfunded by $654,001, and is predicted that it will take another 3 more years to be fully funded, or on that 7-year plan.
Any questions?
Would anyone like me to go to back to any specific slide?
Laura, do you mind if I make a comment?
Please.
So I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. It's great. I mean, I think the presentation really showcases what you have been able to do with the district, and also looking forward into the next budget year. I just want to make 2 points, and mostly for the public. One is the slides you showed in the beginning of all the PPE and the way the classrooms were set up. I again want to call out the administration's forward-looking attitude. Thinking back to last summer, when it really wasn't clear whether we were going to be able to open at all, whether we were going to be fully virtual. There were a lot of districts that were, frankly, trying to find excuses not to open their buildings. We were extremely forward-looking. We bought PPE, we bought the dividers, we bought the cleaning materials and equipment well before a lot of other districts did. We got ahead of that curve. It was a risk. The administration and the board decided to spend money to do that, not necessarily knowing what was going to happen. It turned out extremely well, in my opinion. We were able to open up 5 days a week right from the get-go, and maintain that through the most of the year. So, my applause to you, to the rest of the administration. Your forward thinking made this last year possible, in my mind. The other thing I want to point out is, the tax impact. In my mind, it's easy for the board to say we would like to keep the impact as low as possible, and we'd like to create as close to a zero increase budget as possible. We rely on you to do that. And I know there was a tremendous amount of hard work that went on in the Finance Committee and with Damaris's office, and everyone really pulled with the same oar to make this increase as low as possible in a time when it's really important that we keep that tax impact as low as possible for people who are struggling, who've lost their jobs, who are maybe just starting to come back to work. So again, I appreciate, and I'm sure the rest of the board does, appreciate everything you've done. So thank you.
Hey, Laura, can I make a quick comment?
Please.
Yeah, just I think Dino hit the nail on the head. This has obviously been a difficult year financially for the district. From an aspect of unexpected expenses, and the business office and the administration have done a phenomenal job on handling that. I think, one of the big things to point out, and I'm not sure if it was in this, Dr. Cullis, but the district remains debt-free. There is no debt for the district. That's a really beneficial piece that I think most districts in the state could not say. And in addition to that, and Dr. Cullis did point this out in the presentation, that we are completing the last piece of large roofing project that we have to get done. That has been a multi-year project and really is accomplished without going out to referendum and out putting additional debt on the district. That's not something many districts can say. And that was really due to due diligence of continuing to appropriately save in the reserve accounts. And therefore, when the funds were needed for for instance, $2 million in roofing projects, we could do that without having to go to referendum and to be able to use the money that was in the reserve account. So kudos to the administration and the board on continuing to focus on ensuring we're providing the best possible services, as Dr. Cullis pointed out, some of the comparison groups, and doing it in the most financially, fiscally responsible way. So I really appreciate everybody's efforts on this. The Finance Committee, led by Mr. Kim, has just really pushed Damaris and the business office very much to get the most out of this budget we can. And we always do that. But this year in particular, just because of the financial constraints that many families in Denville are under, we pushed even harder on the administration, and the administration pushed hard to get to where we are. So thank you to Finance Committee, the board, and the central office, and thank you, and continue to push for financial responsibility. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mrs. Wagner, if I may, I'd also like to echo Dino and Mike's words. It was quite an interesting year, and I know that we've asked a lot of hard questions for Damaris and the rest of the administration. So the fact that they've been willing to work with us instead of fighting with us speaks volumes. They care about the district as much as we do, if not more, especially since that they're in it every day. So yeah, kudos to Damaris, her team, and the rest of the administration for finding ways to help us, lessen the burden for our taxpayers and our residents here in Denville. So I look forward to continuing to press for the next budget as well, and see how much more we can get. So thank you. I appreciate it. I see your face, Damaris. But agreed. Thank you very much.
Laura,
go ahead.
Just one more quick comment, guys. I say this every budget year, and I'll be remiss if I don't say it, because I think I've said it literally every time. Budgets in schools are utterly amazing to me, right? Because Damaris showed and Dr. Cullis showed in the presentation that only about, 11%, Dr. Cullis, that goes to non-discretionary? Was that the number?
10%, and 7% of that derives from capital projects. So basically 3% of discretionary items.
Yep. And the salaries, can you go back to the chart real quick, Dr. Cullis, that shows the salary percentages? There was a pie chart on there. It shows
one more
back. Yeah. One more, I think it was. Yep, there it is. Okay, so you can see the blue portion of that pie chart shows a significant portion. Those salaries go up greater than 2%. Even if we were at a 2% cap, it's utterly amazing to be able to squeeze everything in. So we are constantly squeezing the smaller side of this pie to continually save every dollar we can and make sure every dollar goes as far as humanly possible, because between salaries and benefits, which benefits are this red pie, is that correct, at 8 million? Yep. So we've got, 20, somewhere around $29 million in salary and benefits. Both of those pieces of the pie go up greater than 2%, right? Benefits obviously are a little bit out of our control, and we've been lucky the last couple of years, but certainly salaries do. So it's a mathematical project to make sure we squeeze every single cent out of every dollar we collect from the taxpayers, and I appreciate that that Damaris and Dr. Cullis and Dr. Forte continue to push.
And I wanted to know how each year, because there is nothing that we are losing. So even though the percentage is less, it's not like we had a surplus before, but each year we've been bringing in more grant funding or in cooperation with different services. So like our work with St. Clair's or negotiating our space in the town hall. We've just been able to find other ways and to make use of our grant money, our IDEA and our title money, the best of our ability. So I think that there's something to be said for that as well. I know that Dr. Forte has communicated a lot with our local businesses and been able to bring in some services there, but also some of our grant money, just trying to get the best that we can out of that. So it is helpful. I just want our taxpayers to know that we are not cutting anything. And that's why I went to the one slide, because they were wondering, well, where did the money come from? We did tighten budgets, but I want to make sure that they realize that we still are keeping to our class sizes. And this particular slide, I just wanted to note what, if someone didn't understand what that meant. By hiring another fourth grade teacher, it means that if we did not hire another fourth grade teacher, our class sizes would be 25. If we did not hire another fifth grade teacher, our class sizes would be 24. So they are not those numbers. They're lower than that. So, I'm sorry, a second grade and our fifth grade. So I know that it seems like because we're hiring a fourth grade teachers that our second grade is the size, but it's because of personnel, right? If we would have to move a teacher from fourth grade to cover, or from second grade to cover the fourth grade. So, we are continuing to keep our class sizes small and add all of the services that we need and all of the materials and supplies that our students need, but they're not going with them. So thank you to the board for really, they are always supportive of making sure our students get everything that they deserve.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. Does anybody else have any comments from the board? So I just wanted to point out, because this is a public meeting, I feel like when I hear us, or I try to hear us third party, I think that we sound so praising, and you guys absolutely deserve the praise, and you've done such a wonderful job. But I just want to let the public know that so much time has gone and questions back and forth have gone on behind the scenes as far as, oh, well, can we tweak this, and what can we do with that? And like Mr. Kim said, he really, him and the finance committee really put a lot of ask to the business administrator's office to tighten the reins this year and again provide excellent education while really tightening the budget. So I just wanted to point that out, that we're saying all kind things to one another now and praising one another, but not that it wasn't kind in the past, but that there was a lot of back and forth to be had to get to this budget. I also wanted to point out that, and I know that it was in the did you know slide, but I think I would be remiss if at least two board members didn't point out at every public budget presentation that Denville has been an underfunded district, as was pointed out here, and I'm just looking for the amount this year. Underfunded by approximately 1.36 million, and with the S2 funding formula is slowly bringing us back to par, but all this was done while we have been for years an underfunded district. So kudos again to the administration as well as the finance committee. You guys worked extra hard on this year, and we can't thank you enough for putting together such a fabulous budget. Okay, if any, sorry. Did somebody have something else?
I'm going to stop sharing. No.
Okay. So I think we are finished with special presentations, and we are going to move on to superintendent's comments, which Dr. Cullis, are you taking that over this evening?
Yes. I just wanted to, so the superintendent comments, the schools are all open at this time. However, we are still in the orange high level of transmission. So our earliest opening for phase 2 will be May 10th. So originally it was May 3rd, now we're looking at May 10th. Currently have 5 positive cases of staff and students, and 41 people are being quarantined, and that was as of Friday. So you get those notifications every week. You can always see the updates. If you click on that link, we update it throughout the week and then send it out at the end of each week. For assistant superintendent comments, just a kindergarten update. For Lakeview, we have 84 registered, Riverview 61. In our flex zone, we have 3, and a total of 148. Comparison to this time last year, we had 160. So we're a little behind. I'm not sure if that will catch up, but that's what we're looking at as today. And something fun that happened in the district is going on this week. We have therapy dogs at Riverview. Today they were there this morning, and they're going to be there the next 2 days as well. So the PTA there funded the therapy dogs coming in to visit each class. It was really a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll be posting some pictures from that. This concludes both the superintendent and the assistant superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. And I'm sorry, I had one more question from the budget presentation. Did you mention when the slide presentation is going to be available on the website?
I did not mention. I think usually right after this, it will be available tomorrow. I mean, it's up like the next day.
Yeah, that's just what I wanted the public to understand. I know it's a lot for them to go through and seeing in a small window. So thank you. And thank you for your report. And on to business administrator comments.
I have a few comments. Number one, you might have received a rejection from the ethics form. We apologize. The DOE has changed form this year, and many districts are having a lot of issues. Every question has to be answered either with a 0, with an NA, just even a period, just to have something in there. So if you did receive a rejection, please try to put something on those blank lines and submit it again. The other item on my report is we're going to have 2 vacancies for the November 2021 election. Any candidate that is interested must file a form with the county clerk by July 26th by 4 p.m. The information can be also downloaded from the New Jersey School Board Association website. The other item on the agenda, on tonight's agenda, there is a resolution for approval for another grant. As Dr. Cullis mentioned before, we are taking advantage of different grants and stretching the budget as much as we can with federal and state grants, and this is one of them. Governor Murphy approved $2.5 million from the budget for the purpose of improving recreational facilities such as pool, parks, fields, and the township and the districts can apply. And I took it upon myself because we are still continuing improving the Valley View field, and we are not done yet, to submit an application. I have not submitted the application to start the application process, but we do need a resolution. If awarded, there's a minimum chance that we can, because the purpose of this grant is basically to give access to the public and the community. So because we do have that shared service with the township of Denville, with a shared service that they will be utilized in the field, after hours, and when the school is not using it, that is giving access to the public and to the community. So I did intend to put the grant in and take a chance. If we do get award, it will be a maximum of $500,000, but that is the maximum. It could be less, it could be nothing. But again, this is a grant that I would like to take advantage and submit it after this resolution tonight, and see how it goes from there. Thank you.
Damaris, I have a question or comment on the uploading of the ethics form. I think there's something wrong with their system. You shouldn't be able to upload it if something's left blank. It should be, every system I've worked on, whether it's for going to the doctor, or medical information, or registrations for sports, if it's a hard edit and information is needed or entry is needed, the system should not let you go to the next page, let alone uploading it. And let me finish that. I'm like 99% sure some of the fields that they're telling me are blank were filled in before I uploaded it. So I wonder if some of the stuff's getting lost in transition. I mean, this year, every now and then, like my automatic pilot, I put down my address instead of the school board address for my, where my school district is. I got that, but the other things I filled in, and I just wonder if something's wrong with their system rather than, us leaving things blank.
I understand, Mr. Cass. It's extremely frustrating. Again, we are not the only district having issues. The emails coming back and forth from other districts has been very frustrating. This is a new system that the DOE put in place, and if I can contact you tomorrow and help you and guide you with the submission of the form.
I could put N/A in a blank space. Okay, they got a new system. It's not just me, it's all these other districts and probably other people on the board here. They didn't test the system, okay, if they're asking for an NA or something like that. So, how many times are we going to do it before they get it right? And I think the problems with them, I think they should be testing the system before we all spend any more time trying to upload information that's not there, that maybe once was there.
I agree. I'll give you a call tomorrow and we can both work it together. Hopefully we can upload it. Is that okay with you?
Well, I think I'm going to call Charlene, okay, before I spend any more time on it.
I'm not sure that Mrs. Patterson might be able to help you, Mr. Cass.
Okay, but I'm just registering my concern about a time that's spent on something that's not working.
Okay.
And putting the blame, if you will, on all the districts that everybody's not sending the information in. And again, why are we being able to upload something without the information? That's the key question. You shouldn't be able to upload a ethics form or anything else if needed information is missing. So the system's not working. I don't want to spend any more time on it.
It's understandable. It's understandable.
Tomorrow, okay? But there's problems besides people not putting information in.
I'll contact tomorrow.
Yeah, great.
Sorry about that.
No, it's not your fault. It happens. I've worked with systems a good part of my life, so it happens.
Damaris, did you have anything else?
That was the end of my comments. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's for everybody who's out there, our IT department is not able to mute anyone. So if you are not speaking, if you wouldn't mind just muting yourself so that your background noise isn't picked up. The microphone seems to be pretty sensitive, so we're hearing a bit of feedback from everyone. As Mr. Capello put in the comments section, we are going to open the public discussion section, the first one at 8:06 I have. So if you are on and you would like to address the board, please type something in the chat. We ask that you type your name and address for the record, as would be required if you were in person, and you will be called upon, and you can then at that point unmute yourself and speak to the board, or feel free to type your entire question in the chat. So I'm just going to mute myself for a minute and give everybody time to type if they choose to. Hi, Mrs. Eastman. Is that, oh wait, now I'm sorry, I see a whole, first I just saw your name and now I see words above it. I can't seem to scroll. Can somebody?
Laura, if you, I can read it if you like.
That would be great. Thank you, Dina.
Okay, so from Christine Eastman, 15 Memory Lane. I apologize. Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting where the Phase 2 reopening plan was decided on. I just wanted to voice my personal concerns. I absolutely agree that the kids need more in-person instruction. However, I feel like this plan is just going to add stress and confusion for both the teachers and the kids at this point in the year. I feel like if we can't move to a full day, then we should leave things as they are. Wondering why this is happening now and in this way. Christine Eastman.
Thank you, Mrs. Easton, and I'm sure Dr. Cullis has a comment, but I just want to first say that, first of all, thank you for voicing your concerns, and we appreciate it. And I will just reiterate what Dr. Forte said when he presented the reopening plan to the public as well as the board, was that this drive really came from the building administrators and the educators themselves, who are looking for as much in-person contact with the students as they can get, and they are the ones that really push for this. So I think the board understands your thought process, that it's going to be it's another change in a year where we've had a lot of change, but they felt strongly that this was in their educational best interest. So that, and again, I'm just paraphrasing what Dr. Forte had said during his initial presentation, and now I hand it over to Dr. Cullis, who I'm sure has something to add.
Sure. We won't be able to move to a full day at any point this year because we don't have the staffing to cover that, because we do have to have smaller classrooms, class sizes, because of the social distancing. So that means our staff is spread out in more sections of a certain grade level than we usually do. So for us to come back full, we would have to have our specialists back. So we wouldn't be able to do that under the plan we have now. For us to move to Phase 2, we have to be out of the orange for 2 weeks. So really, this is only going to be a ball that's in the air for the next 2 weeks. Because if we're still in the orange next week, then we won't open until in May 17th. And if it's still in the orange that week, then we're not going to open it up in June. But really, it's just a matter if we can get it. We wanted to do it if we could get in 2 months of instruction this way, but we realize that if we're talking about a few weeks, that we're not going to put it into place. So we're going to watch it for another week, and then that probably will be, if we're still in the orange, we wouldn't have enough time to get out of the orange in order to put this into place. So, it really depends. If things dramatically improve, it could be a possibility. If it continues as it is today, it's not likely that we would open for a longer time. I mean, we stay just like we are. That's what I meant.
Just like we are is a great expression. Just like we are. Mrs. Eastman, that was my concern. So I'm just reading your, she says, okay, thank you. That was my concern, that it is so late in the year. And again, like Dr. Cullis said, they're aware of that, and the next 2 weeks will determine the outcome for us.
Mrs. Wagner,
go ahead, Mike.
Can I just quickly make a comment to that? I think so Mrs. Eastman, thanks for your question. I think it's actually a conversation that I know I had with administration, with Dr. Cullis and Dr. Forte. I know I had it with Mrs. Wagner and Mr. Capello, just asking, hey, is the juice worth the squeeze here? And are we getting a benefit from this additional time? And as Dr. Collis said, and Dr. Forte said at the last meeting, the idea and the request came from the teaching staff and the building administrators that felt whatever they can get out of it will be better. So, I asked that same question. I think it's a really good question. And I think that they feel like every extra minute they can get in in-person instruction will be beneficial. Although I think that, like Dr. Cullis mentioned, that there's a few things that need to align right now. And I think that everybody recognizes that change. There's been a lot of change this year, and not trying to change just to change, but if there's a benefit. So it's a really good question. I appreciate you bringing it up. I think it's important to note that the board and the administration really had a pretty detailed conversation over exactly that comment and that question. So thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, it's 8:12. I'm going to leave it for another minute because I hadn't seen all but the one comment. So again, if you feel like you'd like to address the board, please just type your name, and you can type your comment as well, or you can unmute yourself and address the board. Okay, so I don't see any other comments, and I just want to say thank you to everyone seems to have muted because the background noise seems to stop. So thank you for that. And we are going to go on with, I'm going to close public presentation, public comment section at 8:13. And we are going to move forward with our agenda. And that would bring us to old business with action to be taken. Mr. Capella, would you move us through that, please?
I'd be happy to. If there are no objections, I would like to move items A, B, and C under old business. A is we are going to resolve to approve the reports from March 2021 of the Treasurer of School Monies and the Board Secretary. B are our education reports, the report of student enrollment for March 2021 and the report of the health office, March 2021. And lastly, C, we are approving minutes for our work session meeting, February 8th, 2021, and our regular session meeting, February 22nd, 2021.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Capella. Thank you, Mr. Lohr. Comments, questions, concerns? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lohr,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. Okay, on to new business, action to be taken under personnel. Mr. Anderson, would you move us through that, please?
Absolutely. If there are no objections, I'd like to move under number 4, new business, A, personnel items 1 through 6 as a block, including new hires, resignations, retirements, employee leaves, extra pay, salary adjustments. And actually, in particular, I'd like to point out item number 6, which is the approval of the hiring of a new director of transportation effective July 1st.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. And was that Mr. Lohr with the second?
I think I got in just ahead of Dino.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Lohr. Comments, questions? Tavares, if I can ask, Mike points out the new hire for the transportation director. Would you feel comfortable giving us a little summary? Are you even allowed to do that now? I don't know that I can ask you that now. Sorry.
She's being appointed tonight, so I can't. Mrs. Greenhagen has been with the district for at least 20 plus years. She has a lot of experience in the transportation department. She has been a driver first. She has been assisting the director for the last 2 years, and she's very familiar with the routing. She went for the Rockets program for the certification. She finished it a few months ago, and she's very ready. She has been a great staff member, a great advocate for the school and the students, and I think she'll be a great addition to the department.
Thank you. I know that she's been with the department or the district for a number of years, and it's nice to see her grow in her role and join the administrative team. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions?
Mrs. Wagner, if I may, are we looking to hire a replacement for the Assistant Director of Transportation as well? Or is that position just gonna disappear?
We will be posting and hiring her position within the next few months. We had to take it in step. First, we have to appoint her. Her position is available, and we had to advertise and interview after. So yes, that position will be filled eventually.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, seeing no other comments, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lure,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. Okay, on to instruction and programming. Mrs. Gould, would you please move us through that?
Gladly. I have no objects. I move to approve item 1 under instruction and programming for 2 student teachers to be approved for observing for the 20/21 school year.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Gould. Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
I'm sorry, I see one correction. I'm sorry that Emily Young is for the 21-22 school year. She is an intern for the 21-22 school year. Can we read that in, or do we just correct it?
Can we have a friendly amendment to correct the year? Mrs. Gould?
Yes, should I just state that or reread the whole thing?
You can read the number part B with a friendly amendment.
To clarify, friendly amendment for item 1B, Emily Young to be approved to observe for the 21/22 school year at Lakeview.
And
Mr. Anderson, are you okay with that?
Yes, I am good with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other comments, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lure,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. On to policy revisions. Tamara, can I ask, the list I'm seeing, and I apologize that I didn't pick this up earlier, it seems like this is the same list that we had last meeting so would this be the second reading, or am I confused?
This is the approval of the first reading. Normally it takes 2 months for the policies to be approved.
Yeah, last month they were on the no action section of the agenda.
Correct.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. Okay, so that being the case, and since I just heard your lovely voice, Mr. Lure, would you mind moving us through policy revisions?
That's what I get for trying to help. Yes, I will be happy to do so. I would like to move item 1 under policy revisions, which consists of the following policies for first reading: board member resignation and removal, remote public board meetings during declared emergency, earned sick leave, Family Leave, Every Student Succeeds Act, Title I Fiscal Responsibilities, Student Surveys, Analysis and or Evaluation, Every Student Succeed Act Complaints, Employment of Support Staff Members, Administration of Medical Cannabis, Political Contributions, Lead Testing of Water in Schools, and Student Records. It also includes the following policies for abolishment, first reading: academic standards, academic assessments, and accountability abolished, high qualified teachers abolished, family leave abolished, for two different versions of family leave abolished, New Jersey Family Leave Insurance Program abolished for two different versions, and school safety abolished.
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lohr, and thank you, Mr. Capello. Questions, comments?
So just to clarify, the family leave and the New Jersey, well, actually all of those under being abolished. 34 is tenure or certificated staff and the 4,000s are non. Is that correct? Am I right about that?
I
Yes.
believe so.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Sorry, I should have made that clear. For further clarification, it's my understanding that the reason that these policies are being abolished is because they have been superseded by new laws and new policies, some of which are being approved at the same time.
Some of these policies and regulations had some minor changes, and it has to do a lot after the pandemic. There's some changes just to address pandemic and COVID-19 and other regulations. But yes, there's minor changes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lohr,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. On to finance. Mr. Kim, I told you to record this last meeting. I don't know if you did, but if you wouldn't mind walking us through the finance section, thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Just go ahead and relax. It might take a few minutes. But if no one objects, I'd like to motion Section D, Finance, in the agenda. Number one being the checks listed as $2,604.10 for the Milk Fund, $3,030,640.51 for current expenses, as well as $266 for elementary enrichment. And under number two, the 2021-2022 budget for the Denville Board of Education for the following amounts: general fund of $37,998,857, special revenue fund of $343,570, totaling $38,342,427. Be it further resolved that there should be raised for taxes for the general funds of $32,489,754 for the ensuing school year of 2021 and 2022. Be it further resolved that the budget includes the use of maintenance reserve withdrawal of $200,000 to assist in funding building repairs and equipment district-wide. Be it further resolved that the budget includes the use of capital reserve withdrawal of $2,925,125 to assist with the Lakeview Elementary School roof replacement, to assist with the Riverview Elementary School HVAC upgrade, the Security Project 911 Inform, and the Interior Door Project in order to comply with building code. Whereas the Denville Board of Education recognizes school staff and board members will incur travel expenses related to and within the scope of their current responsibilities and for the travel that promotes the delivery of instruction or furthers the efficient operation of the school district, and it requires board members to receive approval for these expenses by a majority of the full voting membership of the board, and staff members to receive prior approval of these expenses by the superintendent of schools, and a majority of the full voting membership of the board. Whereas the Board of Education may establish for regular business district business travel only, an annual school year threshold of $150 per event, where prior board approval shall not be required unless this event threshold for staff members is exceeded during July 1st through June 30th. Whereas also a Denville Board of Education must establish a maximum dollar limit of travel expenditure as defined by New Jersey code. Be it further, now therefore be it resolved that the Denville Board of Education approve to establish a maximum travel expenditure of $41,800 for the 21-22 school year. The maximum travel expenditure amount for the 2020-2021 school year of $52,800, of which $14,712 has been spent and $26,527 is encumbered to date. Be it further resolved that the Denville Board of Education approve a maximum annual expenditure for professional services where the auditor is $32,500, the attorney is $80,000, and the architect is $5,000. Under 3, the board approved the consultant service agreement with Brown & Brown Benefit Advisors for the district's consultant for the medical plan. The board also approves under number 4, the attached resolution for urging relief from increased costs to school districts resulting from the implementation of Chapter 44. And under number 5, the board approved the shared service agreement between Morris Hills Regional District and the Denville Board of Ed to provide lunches to Lakeview Elementary. Be it further resolved that the board approved the submission of the fiscal year 2021 local recreation improvement grant application and accepts the grant of award upon subsequent approval. And under number 7, where the contract of the Summit Speech School to provide teacher of the deaf itinerant services at a cost of $165 per hour, not to exceed $1,155.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Kim, and thank you, Mr. Cass. Questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
No on the milk fund. Check number 201. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Luer,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yeah. I lost my agenda for a second. I apologize. What is as operations, right? Mr. Cass, would you move us through operations, please?
Well, I'm getting off easy tonight. I'm looking at the agenda. There's nothing to move. Maybe we have a meeting next week. Maybe at the next Board of Ed meeting, I will have some things to bring before the board to vote on.
Wonderful. Thank you. Take the break. And that must bring us to good of the cause and all those things that follow under good of the cause. I'm sorry, my computer is not cooperating right now, so I lost the agenda. So it's good of the cause and letters and any other type of communication. Does anybody have anything else that they want to discuss?
Mrs. Wagner, I would also, I was remiss earlier for not mentioning for the public that part of the, or the other members of the Finance Committee, Mr. Don Case and Mr. David Lohr, were very instrumental in everything that the Finance Committee has done. So for the public, you know, just to announce their names, because they were a huge part of everything that we've done with the budget and the Budget Committee. So thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Thank you as well, Mr. Kim.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Kim. And I noticed that your voice is a little hoarse this evening. I wonder if it might be from all the screaming that you did yesterday at the wonderful track meet. Nice job.
Thank you. It was great to see the kids out there, and yeah, couldn't contain my excitement for all the hard work that they've done up to this point. So, yes.
Laura, the other thing that's on the agenda is we usually pick the board highlights of the meeting.
Thank you, Tino. So I would definitely say the budget is one of those highlights. The budget being presented and approved. Does anybody have anything else?
I think the budget at a 0.51% is a very significant highlight for, of course, only K through 8. I'm not sure what the Morris Hills district is going to be doing, but for the K through 8, yeah, 0.51. Go.
Maybe that's worth 2 bullet points this week, huh?
Yeah, I seem to recall that's the 4th lowest budget increase in like the last 20 or 30 years.
Ms. Wagner, I would add in hiring or approving the hiring of our new transportation director, Mrs. Greenhagen, as a highlight.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And maybe the third highlight, if we don't have something else, should be that we will know for sure about our phase 2 opening in 2 more weeks. So that is still up in the air right now based on the level of our local region. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to discuss? Okay, so at 8:33 then, I'm going to open it up to a second public comment section. If you would just type in your name and you can be called upon to address your concern verbally, or you can type it in the full thing. We just ask that you add your name and address for the record. And if one of the board members sees a comment pop up, I'm having a lot of technical difficulties, so I can't see the screen right now.
Mrs. Wagner, if I may, while we're waiting for the public, thank you. I did want to mention that I was invited to Denville Voices to talk about and address a lot of the Asian hate or the anti-Asian, I don't even know. I get always flustered when I think about this, but the Asian hate that's going on in the world and at least in this country. And I was able to use that platform to just sort of share some of my experiences, what I've dealt with growing up, as well as what I even see in the community today. With any of the Asian business owners that are part of everyday life, and to see some of the struggles that they might go through. So it was a great platform to share my experiences, and I really appreciate Mrs. Gould and the rest of Denville Voices inviting me. So wanted to thank them. And I did want to use the platform or the committee that we had for RSPE to maybe just begin the discussion and bring in the discussion towards the Asian community and the Asian contributions to the country, and see if there's ways that we can incorporate that into the curriculum. So. We'll slowly bring that topic up and make sure that that's sort of represented. And also, I am concerned about any Asian students that might be possibly being bullied, but are too reserved or too shy to maybe voice any concerns. So I do know that. Growing up, I was raised as, we don't want to try to rock the boat too much. But I think I'm beginning to see that that's wrong now, because a lot of the aggressions that are going on out there right now is just very disturbing. And I do think it's time that at least the discussion should be happening. So again, thank you for Denville Voices, and I look forward to increasing the discussion or increasing that conversation. So,
James, thank you.
for sharing.
Oh, you dropped. Okay, Laura, I'm sorry. It looked like you dropped off. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. I think I did drop off the video, and I don't know if you had something to say in relation to this, but I just wanted to thank Mr. Kim for sharing his experience. And I think that's, you know, hate and bullying in any way that affects the students is something that the board takes very seriously. So if during your discussions, you guys find something that might be helpful to bring back to the district, please let us know how we can help and how we can make it easier for the administration to make it easier for students to bring forward any concerns that they might have.
thank you.
I suppose I could speak for Denville Voices and thanking you for coming. And if anyone ever wants to join us for a meeting, you know, please let me know and I can get you in touch with them. It was a great conversation. And, you know, I know sometimes there's some misunderstandings of who's, you know, who can be a, you know, member or whatever. We have different levels of membership, whether you're committed and donating dues and participating in most meetings and voting, or whether you just want to be on our mailing list as a volunteer or ally. Like for events, we do like we did a fun car wash last year. So please just reach out to, you can reach out to me and I can put you in touch with the group if you're interested in participating in any way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gould. I can't see the comments, so I'm going to ask you in a second if there's anybody that has typed in during the public comment section. And I hope this doesn't mess up your notes too much, Damaris. I'm just thinking about that now. But something that I didn't bring up during our discussions was the delegate assembly notice that came out recently, and the registration that's going to be virtual this year, which I was very happy to see. It gives me the opportunity to attend. So if you haven't looked at that from school boards yet, take a look and register if you have the opportunity. I think it's great that we don't have to travel, but we can take part. So are there any comments there?
No, Laura, there's nothing in the comments.
Okay, so I have 8:39. We're going to close public comment section, and we do have the need for a second executive, which we're going to vote ourselves into in a moment. But just so the members of the public are aware, we will not. We will need to re-enter the public meeting to close out the meeting, but we will not be having any type of voting going on. So, if I could have a motion to move into executive for personnel.
I move that we convene an executive session in accordance with the Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The purpose of this closed session will be to discuss personnel issues. Minutes of this session will be made to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Second.
Was that Mr. Cow?
No, Mr. Lear, I think.
Somebody else, but I'll take credit for it if you want.
That's on Mr. Lohr.
Mr. Lohr, right?
Great. So thank you, Mr. Lohr. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so any abstentions, any nays? So we are in executive, and to the board members, you should see an invite from me now, as well as the email follow-up. And if you have any questions, give me a call on my cell. Otherwise, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We did state that we will not be voting after we come out of executive, right?
Correct.
Yes, we did. Or
Okay.
I did. I don't know if anybody heard me.
I had my internet cut out for a second. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.